The Olympus LS-100 is a very popular recorder that has been out for some time now, but unfortunately, they suffer or it suffers from some common problems that I'm going to tell you about. And these are not software issues, these are hardware problems. You need someone to have a look at it basically and sort it out for you. So, what happens is this switch here, okay, at some point it will fail, and I'll tell you in detail what happens later on. But basically, this switch mechanism it will fail. The second problem is that the battery, okay, which goes in on this side, right, it will stop charging and it won't power off the battery, right? So what will happen is you put the battery in, okay, and you're trying to power it on and it's not going to power on. If you put the USB cable in, it will power on. But as soon as you pull the USB cable out, the recorder will die or it will turn off and it won't stay powered on. Okay, and also what will happen is you connect the USB cable and it's supposed to charge the battery, but the battery won't take a charge. So the first thing you'll probably think, okay, maybe the battery is faulty, and you replace the battery, but it's still the same issue persists. Okay, and the second problem that happens is the USB socket. What happens is when you put the USB cable in, it doesn't charge the battery. I'm going to explain to you. First of all, if you're having these issues, okay, the fastest way to get these problems resolved is by contacting us, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm just going to take a second to show you that, and then I'll come back and I'll explain to those of you who are technically inclined. I'll explain to you what's going on, and I'll explain to you how to repair it. Okay, so the fastest way to get this sorted is if you just open a Google search page, and if you type in iRefab, that's I for Indigo, R for Romeo, E for Echo, F for Freddy, A for Apple, and B for Bike, iRefab, then the first listing that will come up is for our website. So if you click on that, iRefab, General Electronics Diagnostic and Repair, and if you go down the page, and if you go to the send us a message button, right, all you have to do is fill in your name, your email, put a subject title in, and let us know the problem that you're having. Once you click submit from here, we will get back to you with a quote. We will assess if we can repair your device and we'll get back to you with a quote. If you agree to the quote and you're happy to move forward, we will send you a link and a password to our online booking form. Put your password in and book your device in for repair. Once you've done that, our system will issue you with a service ticket number and instructions on how to post your device to us. All you have to do is write that service ticket number down on a piece of paper and include it with your device when you send it to us. Once we receive your device, we will proceed to repair your device for you. And once it's repaired, we'll issue you with an online invoice that you can pay. And you can do that online and you can pay by card or PayPal, whichever you prefer. And once the invoice is paid, we will promptly ship your device back to you. Now, normally we can do this within about 3 days, but during busy periods, just bear in mind it can take up to a week or 2 weeks. Now, I'm going to show you how to do the repair yourself. Okay, so we're back at the demonstration table. Now, for those of you who are technically inclined, this switch mechanism, what happens is the contacts inside, it's covered with like a plastic cover, and the plastic from the cover, it erodes over time and falls onto the contacts. And as you're switching this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, what happens is the plastic breaks down and it covers those contacts and it can no longer make a contact with the points on the board. So the switch basically no longer functions. It's not a simple process. Trying to open one of these is like a maze. There's so many screws and so many bits and bobs that you have to take apart before you can get to that switch. If you want a detailed breakdown of how to take this apart and how to do it, I've made another video. If you have a look at my past videos, it's called LS11 no power issue. I'll show you how to take one of these apart and how to service that switch. And the same switch mechanism is also on here. The only difference is on the LS11, that switch is not soldered on, it's just clipped on. The switch cover is just clipped on. On this, the switch cover is actually soldered on, so there's a bit more work to get it off. And also, when you're going to take this apart, what you'll find is these two mics here, right, they've got two green cables which connect onto the board here. They need to be desoldered, and this green here at the top, there's a point where it's soldered on as well. So you have to desolder two green cables from here, and also you have to wick up the solder that connects the frame of the screen onto the board. Once you've done that, you can take that off, and you can get to that switch. To get to that switch, all you have to do is open. You open these side screws from here, okay, and you open these screws from here. Open the 5 screws here on the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and what you'll find is there's three screws underneath, one here, and one here. You unscrew them, and they're holding the front plastic part on, okay, and there's one screw underneath here as well, and all that mechanism will come out, and then you can get to the board. Now, how to repair the issue where the battery will not charge and the device will not power on from the battery. So what happens is, on the main board, on the inside of the LS-100, there is a fuse, an SMD fuse, okay, and the marking on the fuse is H, capital H, right? It looks like a resistor, but it's actually a fuse, and the size of that fuse is 0603. I think that's 1.5 mil by 1 mil, and I think it's 32 volts 1 amp, the rating on it. But you can get them off AliExpress, right? I think you get them off eBay as well. So you can get one of them in, replace that fuse, right, and that will sort out, basically that fuse blows. So because that fuse blows, the battery can no longer charge, or the device cannot take voltage from the battery. So once you replace that fuse, that sorts that problem out. And then on the other side of the board, where you have the USB connection, okay, here, right here, if you follow that back in onto the board, there's another fuse on the input of the USB, and it's the same fuse that is on the battery input. It's an SMD fuse, size 0603, 32 volts 1 amp, and the marking on the fuse is H, capital H, right? So you need to take that fuse off and replace it with a fuse of the same rating, and that will sort out your USB problem. Okay, so those were the 3 most common issues with the LS-100, and I thought I'd just make a quick video to show you how to resolve those issues. Well, that's it for today, and as always, bye for now, and have a nice day.